Detroit Den 313. We are back, Stephen Will, talking that Detroit Lions football. But before we get started, please take a second out of your day. Just not too much energy. Just move your little mouse or your touch screen. There's a little button that says subscribe. Hit that. Hit that
Helps
button.
us out. Helps us out a lot.
Yeah, we would really appreciate it. You can even hit the bell icon if you don't want to miss our content, if you enjoy us, at 7 to 7, most times. But anywho, today we are talking about someone that is near and dear to my heart as a fan.
Where are you going with this?
Yeah, as a fan, I love to see people do this. Steve, tell the people who we're talking today.
Well, Will is apparently very high on the oldest free agent in the NFL this year in cornerback Stephon Gilmore, aging prodigy, as some would call him. Was he 34 years old? 34 years old?
He's 33. He's going to turn 34.
It's not ideal. He'll be 34 by the time the season really comes around in September. Stephon Gilmore is a household name for the NFL. If you're an NFL fan, you've been watching the NFL for more than 7 minutes, you've heard the name Stephon Gilmore, former defensive player of the year with the New England Patriots. They cut ties with them. I think he went to Indy for a year. Then he goes maybe a couple years at Indy, bounces around, ends up in Dallas, kind of starting to bounce around a little bit in the league, plays a position of need for the Detroit Lions. I'll tell you right now, it's a pass for me. I don't care if we're getting him for free. Just don't need him.
He's out of your mind?
He's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. Our secondary and our cornerback room is so bad, he's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole.
Okay, so let me ask you this right out of the gate. Would you rather have had him at the opposite corner in the NFC Championship game or Kendall Vildor?
I'd rather have my dog downstairs as the opposite corner, but doesn't change the fact that looking forward to the 2024-2025 season, he's a Band-Aid on a bullet hole. There's so many other ways we can address this cornerback 2 position. Stephon Gilmore would be my absolute last choice.
So Stephon Gilmore, for me, I would love to have him on a 1-year deal. 1 year, 1 season. Come in with your ties to Detroit, mentor your brother, mentor him into a beast. Maybe, he showed glimpses, his brother has. So maybe, you guys come to Detroit, maybe get comfortable.
Yeah, maybe showing glimpses against Tommy DeVito. Let's be honest.
I've seen a lot of glimpses of him at practice locking down Tom Kennedy. Let's talk about that, Steve.
Tom Kennedy is the GOAT on this team. Don't you dare get me wild up.
Anyway,
Tom Kennedy catches that ball. Josh Reynolds drops.
Anywho, in all seriousness, I just think the ties are there. He did say, being transparent, he did say that he would love to stay in Dallas and run it back. With Diggs being out, he thinks that defense can be special when Diggs comes back. And he wants to be a part of that. But what if I had to go another place, if I'm him, I would want to go play with my brother, right? So bring him to Detroit. Maybe him and his brother can get something going. Maybe he can mentor him and teach him some things, being hands-on every single day. And maybe, the Detroit Lions love player coaches. Maybe he just rides off into a coaching position after he's done. I don't know. Not that I've thought it out, but it would be a 1-year deal for me. 1 year. 1 year. Steve, would you say he made $6-7 million last year?
Base salary of 7.
Yeah, so 1 year, pay him, let him compete at that cornerback position, whether it's 1 or whether it's 2, depending on how much juice he has left. I know last year he did show glimpses of still having greatness in his body. So, listen, I would love to have him for 1 season. I do think that it's a Band-Aid. I agree with you for that, or with that. I think we got to talk about Emmanuel Mosley on a 1-year deal. And then we talk about signing someone in free agency that can compete for the cornerback 1 position. And then we have our problem solved, and we don't necessarily have to address it in the draft. Or if we do address it in the draft, we can address it at that last pick in the 3rd round, or trading for a 4th rounder to get some of those guys that have been in that mid-range of the draft that you and I have talked about throughout the process. So check out our videos. We talked about multiple guys that could be in that range, and I think that would be a good fit for us, and we can focus on getting our pass rusher and the best linebacker in the draft.
I'm glad you mentioned how he wants to run it back with the Dallas Cowboys. I really am. Because if the Dallas Cowboys are stupid enough to pay someone of his caliber $10 million, then let them be the stupid ones to pay him $10 million.
I don't
Detroit Lions, I'm not paying him $10 million. I'm not paying him $5. I'm not paying him half of that of $5. I'm talking league minimum, last resort. He needs a home. We need a corner. That's the only situation I'm signing Stephon Gilmore. You want to be a mentor to your brother? That's great. It's cute. This isn't the Disney Channel. If you want to spend time with your brother, grab a couple of fishing poles and go find a pond somewhere. This is the NFL. I need someone who's going to go out there.
Hey, Hey, it wouldn't just be his brother though, man. You're talking about a guy that was the best corner in the league for a span of time. He just like CJ Gardner-Johnson, he all pro. He's a guy that I would imagine has seen it all throughout the league. He's seen multiple offenses. He knows how to prepare like a professional. Those are all things that we need in this secondary. The Brian Branches of the world, the Kirby Josephs of the world, this young secondary, Iffy Melifonwu. Anytime you can get a guy with that type of information, especially coming from the Patriot way, whether you love it or you hate it, those guys know that the magic is in the details. They know everything from what the referees like to do to what the quarterbacks like to do. They're prepared. They know how to prepare, and that's something that I think is special. I would love to have that type of information here in Detroit and helping this team out for one season, and then he could probably go on, depending on how he looks.
I don't see him doing anything that Dre Bly can't do when it comes to mentoring. Dre Bly is one of the most underrated corners of the early 2000s. I don't, when I look at the Detroit Lions, I don't need a mentor. I need someone to come in, be a cornerback, be a ball player, not someone who's going to sit there and break down X's and O's for you at this level. If you've got here for a reason, if you're in the NFL, it's because you know how to play football. If you need someone to mentor you, sorry, that's why we passed on Jalen Carter, because we didn't trust him. So if you can't come to the Detroit Lions and make an impact, I ain't bringing in someone just to be a mentor. And his brother, Stephon Gilmore, like, I'm not high on him. Yeah. He had a good preseason when he was going against the New York Giants in preseason games against Tommy DeVito, who everyone loved for a second. And then the real Tommy DeVito showed up and started sucking. Just what these guys go against isn't NFL caliber players all the time in practice and in preseason. It's just, I don't know. It really sounds like I just want to kill Stephon Gilmore, and I don't. I like him. He was a stud 7 years ago. He's just out of his prime. I'm not paying him. I'm not holding a roster spot. I'll go draft a corner who can have meaningful reps. I don't need someone to mentor him. That's what your coaches are for. Just everything you're saying. Well, I just completely disagree with today.
Hey, I'm all right with it, man. I was just gonna say it's rare that we are completely on opposite ends, but I'm completely on the opposite end. There's a lot of guys that make it to the NFL that need a lot of help, and I think the magic is in the inches of this game. Alignment, knowing what's gonna go on, knowing what you're looking at in certain formations. Those are all things that matter. Those are all things that are game changers. Those are all things that can win you football games. And I think that's what he brings to the table. So if we're talking about mentorship, we're talking about the reason that we got CJ Gardner-Johnson, because Aaron Glenn was a mentor for him. And that was the reason why he was down to come to the Detroit Lions on a deal. So I think the mentorship thing is real. I think that having veteran leadership is real. I think that it can be special if it's the right people. But I agree with you. Stephon Gilmore may not necessarily be a good fit. Who knows? But the idea of it, I love it. I love bringing in that type of leadership, that type of experience. And he's tried and true. So I think there's no question that he knows how to play the game. And if you've ever delved into him, he's the type of guy that knows how to prepare. Like, he's all about being a true pro. So if we can bring that to our young guys that are already down with the culture that Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes has brought to Detroit, I think that it does nothing but elevate that.
I'd rather bring in Darrelle Revis, if we're being honest.
Yeah, listen, Revis.
We'll talk about a guy who's actually done something in the NFL.
Oh gosh, time out.
Revis. All right. We've already got a better mentor for him on the team, and Dre Bly, Super Bowl champion. What's Stephon Gilmore ever won?
Listen, I wasn't even going to address that Dre Bly comment, because I know what you're doing, and I'm not
Super Bowl champion.
Although I do enjoy Dre Bly, listen, he was a mentor last year for this secondary, and we see what happened. A great mentorship on Cam Sutton, and whatever. But I'm not here to throw shade. I'm here to talk about these Lions getting better defensively, offensively, special teams, the whole gambit. And I think that Stephon Gilmore, for a 1-year deal, would do nothing but help this team. He wants to compete for a championship. Why would you go to the Cowboys? Because we are going to absolutely deal with the Cowboys next year. It's already, I would imagine these guys already got a chip on their shoulder for the Cowboys already. So, hey, listen, come on to Detroit. I love it. I love the idea of a 1-year deal for Stephon Gilmore, nothing more. But anything other than that, I would have some frustrations and groups.
I couldn't hate it any more possibly than I'm expressed already on the show.
Hey,
Stephon Gilmore gets me just as excited as I would be for a colonoscopy. Just not looking forward to it. Don't need it. Not going to really help me. Just what are we doing?
It does help. We need those toxins.
If we're just throwing money away, I can think of what's he going to want? He's making $7 million base plus some signing bonus and roster bonuses. Let's call it $10 million. $10 million really puts you in the category. There's roster bonuses and everything is 100%.
Yeah. It's not $10 million.
His base salary is close to 7.9. He's got a $1 million roster bonus and a $1 million roster / GM bonus. So that's $9.9 million, almost 10.
Not $10 million.
His cap hit is $9.9 million. That's $10 million.
Hey, listen,
we'll round
if you're telling me I got Stephon Gilmore on this team at the NFC Championship game, I'm telling you we're in the Super Bowl.
I'm telling
that's
you,
that's what it really boils down to. Like, get rid of the Tracy Walkers, no shade. Get rid of the Charles Harrises, no shade. Get rid of the Romeo Okoras, no shade. You just found a whole bunch of money to pay somebody who could have got you over the hump in the NFC Championship game. It's the bottom line. I need guys that can get it done. Stephon Gilmore could put a Band-Aid on the bullet hole. I agree. He could get it done. And that's all I need. I'm not saying that it has to be him, though, but he's somebody that I would be down with. Could have been Emmanuel Mosley. Re-sign them both in 1-year deals. Whoever works out, sign him to a deal.
I'm not paying him the same amount of money. I'm paying Cam Sutton damn near. Just not doing it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, guys, we obviously have two different opinions here. You're either Team Steve or you're Team Will on this one. It's plain and simple. Leave it in the comments. Let me know who you support. If you want to see the old man out there with his walker, him and Hendon Hooker just slinging footballs around, leave it in the comments. You want to sign Stephon Gilmore, or are you good on him staying with the Dallas Cowgirls for the rest of his career, riding off into the sunset, never winning a meaningful game, bashing the Detroit Lions because we've never been there? But we have been in more NFC championships after going 0-16 than the Dallas Cowboys. That's just a fact. So if you have a winning mentality, Micah Parsons, you'll see that people do want to come to Detroit, and there's some people we just flat out don't want, like me. You're not good enough to play on my team. I'll just go ahead and say it. Leave it in the comments.
What did Brad say?
He said a lot of things.
Not everybody can play in Detroit.
That's right. And I think Stephon Gilmore is one of them.
Yeah,
leave it in the comments whose side you're on here. Hit that like button. Hammer that subscribe button if you're new to this channel, guys. We'll be back later with some more content.
Peace.